throughout college, I had 4 internships. They were across different industries and different roles, and definitely did not follow a linear path. They took me across fintech to manufacturing and to nonprofits, and I ended up in an amazing role right out of undergrad and have been having a great time as an engineer doing something that I truly enjoy. If I could go back and tell myself some things, this is where I would start. So, since you may not know me, I just graduated with my bachelor's in computer science, and my internship experience was software engineering, supply chain analytics, business process engineering, and data engineering. And throughout these internships, I focused on learning over prestige. I focused on figuring out what I wanted to do, what fit my strengths, what fit my personality, what technical skills I needed to develop. And I wasn't too worried about chasing prestige or chasing what I thought would inherently look best on my resume, but instead finding clarity in what I wanted to do for the rest of my career. So the first big piece of advice I'd have is that titles don't matter. I would say this one's a little bit controversial. I think some people, especially one thing I can think of as a CS major myself, is the computer science students who their goal is to be a software engineer at a FANG company. And you know what? I love that for them. If that's your prerogative, you should do it. I think this is the same as the aerospace engineer who wants to work at Lockheed Martin, the mechanical engineer who wants to work at whatever manufacturing company, and the agricultural engineer who wants to work at Caterpillar. I feel like these are all the same thing, and I think that's something that is perfectly great. But I think it's also important to be open to a variety of different roles in different industries, because when you try different things out, you can easily find what you like. If maybe you do your first internship in whichever thing you really wanted to do it in, and then you're like, oh no, this isn't what I wanted. If you went into it with the perspective of, this has to be the thing I want, this is like what I'm doing for my whole career before you even try it, I think that's a recipe for potential disappointment, just because sometimes you don't really know. I mean, before you do an internship, you don't know what it's going to be like. I also was like, I just want to be a software engineer. It'll be so fun. But when I actually had to code all day and was doing like daily sprints, I was like, no, this is not for me. It wasn't like enough social interaction, and it just wasn't the right vibe. And so I was like, okay, I need to find something else. And that's kind of how I got into analytics, and an opportunity came up as supply chain analytics. Then I got down like the BPE rabbit hole doing the business process engineering, and that's what I ended up loving to do and was a perfect fit for my strengths and abilities. And I think sometimes you just have to let go of the idea that a specific industry, a specific role is your destiny. And that not only helps for finding an internship, but also for finding what you want the beginning of your career to look like. I would say also, when you're in these roles, don't just focus on the technical. Don't just focus on being an AutoCAD expert or being a master coder or being the Power BI guru. Instead, focus on understanding how the business works. I think this is such an underrated thing that I don't normally hear people talk about, but understanding the business and understanding what's going on and who your stakeholders are, how you're contributing. Is the project you're doing generating soft savings? Is it generating hard savings? Is it something that is benefiting the company in a large way, in a small way? Is it just a process improvement? Is it something to gain better insights? I think understanding where your role fits into the business as well as the principle of the business as a whole is super important. I could give a bunch of examples for this, but a really good one is when I worked at a fintech company. They were like a subscription as a service company. So understanding that business model, how it works, how you generate recurring revenue, where your soft savings are in a process improvement, where your hard savings are. I think being able to identify these things that tie into the economics of the business allows you to transfer skills across businesses very well, and also to kind of see where in a business you might want to be, because a lot of times the same role will have a different title, and having an idea of the responsibilities and the impact on the business that what you want to do has helps you to better communicate that to recruiters, and helps you to definitely do better in interviews, but also in the role. And it also strengthens your career as a whole, because then you're more connected to the companies you're working at, and you can see relationships between them, and that just makes you such a stronger individual contributor. I would say also focus on intentional exploration. I think sometimes there's a bit of a just, I'll just try whatever. And if you get a great opportunity, you should go ahead and do it. 100% take the opportunity. I feel like you'll never regret trying something new. And when you're doing it, just see, what things do I like? What things do I not like? And also, if there's something that you don't know, that's just a skill you need to learn, and that's perfectly fine. And I think too, it's important to kind of get a gauge for like what kind of company you want to work at. For example, like I didn't love working at a nonprofit and like a smaller company, but I really enjoyed like the Fortune 500 vibe. And I think being able to see what type of company you like, the size, the industry, like the flexibility, like what things you really care about, helps you to do so much better when you're in the job search and you have a couple different offers and they're all similar, like financially, and you're trying to make the best choice for yourself. I think the only way you can do that well is past experience. You can see, okay, I liked this thing, this wasn't good for me, and you can make the best choice for yourself that'll make you so much happier in your first role and lead you to having greater career success overall. Also, if you get an offer, you are qualified. You've got this. You are the person for the role. The company is confident in that, and you should be confident in that. I think sometimes people get all in their head that maybe I'm not qualified enough. Maybe they kind of made a mistake. Maybe there just wasn't anybody better. That is not the case. Any internship is a highly competitive process to get, as every single person who's tried to get an internship knows. And if you were selected, you are highly qualified. You are amazing. It doesn't matter if you're a mechanical engineer doing a software engineering role. I knew a friend at a fintech company, and she was a communications major working as a tech product manager. And while at the beginning she was unsure if she could do it, they clearly saw the abilities in her and they wanted to teach her how to do it. And I think if you are getting an offer, you've got it, you're gonna kill it, go do it. I would also say that once you get deeper into your internships, like let's say you did one internship, you did two internships, and you found one that like you really liked. And I would say for this, focus more on the role, because this is like a more role-based part. But once you have that role that you really, really like, for example, for me, after the third internship, I was like, okay, I want to be a business process engineer. This is a perfect fit for me. I love it. It is what I want to do. I could easily identify the technical skills that I was missing. And there were some. I needed some improvements in Power BI and SQL and some like database design skills. So I supplemented that in two ways. Firstly, I took some courses in school that allowed me to really focus in on those skills and to hone in those skills a little bit better. Additionally, I got another internship, and I was a data engineer there. And while I didn't want to be a data engineer long term, it allowed me to first see that's always a win, and also to gain those data skills that I can then take into my new role, where I need some data skills, but having them is always beneficial. And so I think being able to identify what you're lacking on, like very honestly to yourself, and improve upon it as you go forward is a very valuable skill that truly helps so much when you're trying to land that first role and get that dream job right off the bat. Because we can all do that. Y'all got it. Okay, so Furthermore, I think the overarching goals are that some internships, they just may not be the one. And that's okay. Just learn from it, improve your confidence, know that you've got it, and look for patterns in things that you like, things that you don't like, and try to understand how the companies work, what the business structure is, where you're generating revenue, who your stakeholders are, and how the function of the business, that the part of the business that you're in, functions in the whole grand scheme of the larger company. I would say also remember you're not behind. Like, a non-linear process is totally normal. It is not that you did anything wrong if you feel like you're in an internship you don't like, or you feel like you haven't found that role yet. It literally took me until the 3rd internship to find what I really liked. And honestly, it wasn't really through halfway to the 4th that I was like, okay, I'm sure I was right. This is what I want to do. And I could really pursue it. It is okay if you feel lost. That is just a part of the process, and it is perfectly normal. You've done nothing wrong. You're killing it. If you're doing internships, you are doing an amazing job. You should be so proud of yourself. So keep going, and look forward to my next video about how to get your first internship if you haven't got one yet. Okay, bye y'all.